Indeed. All right, guys. Can we all hear? Can we all hear him? If you can hear him on Instagram Live, please just drop a yes. Drop a yes. Yes, just say yes if you're plugged in on Instagram and you can hear him live. All right. So good morning, guys. I must say I have my friend and my brother with me on the show this morning. My friend, my brother Ndidi is the CEO and founder of GospelCentric, and he's a brother. So this testimony he wants to share is very, 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 very important because I cannot lose my brother right now. All right. So first off, all right. So first off, how are you doing this morning? Yeah.
I'm getting better one day at a time. I'm getting better by the day. God has been good. Yeah, family, friends, calling to encourage me and everything. So I'm beginning to recover from, will I say shock or trauma?
I think it should be trauma now.
Yeah. I'm just improving by the day. Thanks to God, thanks to family, friends like you, of course. Words of encouragement has been super amazing. So, yeah, I'm getting better by the day.
Okay, so let's talk now. Right? I need to know exactly what even happened. Let's do it's testimony time. Yeah. So I told somebody that you got that a friend of mine got kidnapped, and he was like, was he traveling? Was he? What happened? Where was he? I'm like, this guy was not traveling. This guy was in his house, and that's
exactly
ridiculous. Yeah. So can you share the story with us?
Okay. On Tuesday last week, after work, I decided to just go home. There was a Champions League match. So I said, okay, let me just get full for the gen and then go straight home I had other things to do in town, but I said, let me just go home straight so I can just relax and then enjoy myself that evening. So I got to, usually if I'm driving at that time, because this was at about 8, few minutes to 8 or thereabout. So if I'm driving on my street, I'm always attentive to the cars behind me and in front of me.
Right.
So yeah. So I took note of a particular car, that was just behind me. So when I took a turn, the car took a turn. So I was still observing, like, okay,
what's going on?
So when I because my house is just along the road. It's like a major road. It's not like it's a street or something, like a very busy road, So when I got in front of my gate, so I was approaching my gate. Okay, so the car drove past my car. So there's a street immediately after my gate,
okay,
or after my house. The car entered the street. So I just felt, maybe it's one of the neighbors around or someone that lives in the neighborhood. So I just parked in front of my gate because we don't have a gate man in my apartment. So I got down from the car, went to open the gate, got back to my car, drove inside my compound,
Okay.
So I didn't park properly. I just parked very close to my gate so that I can shut the gate and park properly in the compound.
So was the car still running?
My car. Can you hear me?
The engine was still running, yeah?
Yeah, it was still running. Yeah,
okay.
It was still running. So when I got down from my car, I was walking towards my gate to shut the gate. So I closed the first one because it's gate has two sides.
Yeah.
I closed the first one. So just about shutting the second one, so I can go back to my car. Next thing was a foot right on my gate. The person just masked the gate.
Right.
The next thing I saw was a masked guy with a gun pointed at me to like, if you move, I shoot you.
And this was not a COVID-19 type of mask, yeah.
COVID-19 kind of mask. This was like criminally minded mask, kind of.
Wow.
So it was like, okay, so I took a step closer to like, what is wrong with you? Because actually, I felt it was a prank. I felt maybe a friend was trying to prank me or
right.
something. So like, okay, let me just go closer to see if I can recognize the face and then we'll laugh about it or something. So when I took a step closer, Probably the guy and some other persons he came with was afraid. So other two guys came out from the outside with guns as well. They're like, dude, go down now. So when I saw like three guys with guns, I had to like first of all raise my hands up, like, okay, this is total surrender mission. So I should lie down on the floor. I did. My car ignition, my car was still on, so went straight to the floor. So they asked for my phone. I use two phones. One is a business line. One is like my day-to-day personal line where I have all my details, bank details, everything. So I dipped my hand in my phone, in my pocket, and brought out the business line, which is like strictly for business calls, mails, and everything. So my personal transaction don't go there. So I gave them that one. So they felt, okay, maybe just that phone I have, because it's, at least by an extent, it's presented. So you don't expect somebody to be using.
Sorry, at this point, were you still in the compound? Were you still in your compound at this point?
They were in the compound already.
Okay.
They were in the compound and nobody was around. When I mean around, nobody was outside. Nobody was outside my compound. But I noticed my neighbor, when I opened the gate, my neighbor usually, she would peep to see, okay, who is that? So when she saw me, all right, so when that first guy approached me, I noticed she dropped the curtain and disappeared. That was why I knew, okay, thank God somebody can see what's going on.
Okay.
And somebody will let my wife know that, something has happened to me or anything. That was when they left. They took me away from the house or something. But so back to the story. So while I was on the floor, they requested for my ATM. I gave them my ATM card. My personal phone was still in my pocket. So they asked me to get in the car. I got in the car. Two were seated behind me in the back. I was seated in the middle. So with a gun right in my waist from left and right, I'm just in the middle. At this point, they now took up their mask and said I should take my head down. So my head was just down all through. So they drove the car. And the car they came with was...
So just to get it correctly, that means there are two cars now, yeah? They came in with one car.
Yes.
And now, so they drove that car and then your car.
Yes.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
So they were not asking me how much do I have in my account. That what they need is 2.5 million. If I can give them, I should choose between my life. And I'm like, bros, I don't have, if you turn me upside down, I don't have that money. I'm just a young man trying to raise a family and everything. That was when they now knew, okay, he's married, he has a son and stuff. I'm like, yeah, I'm just starting my life. They were like, no, okay, so I don't want to tell them. I'm like, I don't have money in the account. So they now drove to one ATM. But my head was still down. I don't even know how they got that. I don't even know the ATM. So they were withdrawing money. So meanwhile, my personal phone in my pocket was vibrating. Means the guy was just collecting. So usually for me, I don't put my phone doesn't ring out. It's 100% on vibration. In the media industry now, you don't want your phone to be a distraction or anything. You might be in the studio and your phone is ringing, So my phones are 100% vibration. That was one thing that God used in saving me also, because while that phone was in my pocket, I noticed it was vibrating, calls were coming in, Maybe my wife was trying to reach me, my family members were trying to reach me, friends were trying to reach me, they heard what happened, So the phone was just vibrating in my pocket. How they didn't know that phone was in my pocket is still God. Because the guy on my left, his gun was just close to where the phone is in my pocket.
Wow.
So I was wondering, how did this guy not know this phone is vibrating? But I was just telling God, this is not your promise. This is not what you promised me. It cannot end like this for me. I was just saying that I don't know where the calmness came from. I was as calm as anything today. And the guy was like, what force do you belong to? I'm like, no, I'm not a force man. I'm just a media person. So it was like, okay. Because I was as calm. I don't know where that calmness came from. I'm still amazed how someone can be so calm
In the middle of,
such,
I mean, guns left and right and all of that happening.
yeah, I was very too. Because with that calmness, I was able to. I had other ATMs in my pocket, you know. But when they requested for my ATM, I gave them one. You know, they didn't recognize that, oh, they were others. You know, they were actually the ones that were, you know, rowdy, confused, you know, but I was just as calm as anything. So they drove out, after using the ATM, they continued driving and everything. So they took me to, okay, they now parked somewhere. They said I should get down from the car. So when they said I should get down, I'm like, okay, I don't know what is going on. So when I raised my head up, it was like a complete bush, you know. So they just said I should be going. So I kept walking inside. So at that point, I was just like, God, oh, nobody will just shoot me from behind.
Right.
I was confused.
Yeah.
God, this is not it for me. Oh, this is not the end for me.
Yeah,
God, this is
yeah.
not your promise for me. You know, I kept reminding God of His promises. I kept reminding Him of, this is not how you say your children will go. You know. So I was just walking inside. Then I noticed the car drove off. So when the car drove off, I turned back. I discovered, oh, okay, they are no longer behind me. So I had to come out, start walking out from the bush. When I got to the main road, I discovered, oh, okay, I've been taken to different location entirely. In fact, a different local government, different from where they picked me from. So from there, I got a telephone that was with me. I started reaching out to my friends were supposed to be on air at that point. I was calling them so that they can start saying it on radio, start saying it on media platforms, what has happened to me. They were already calling the police, you know. So I had to track the car, put the engine off. So that went to the station. This was at about 12 midnight already.
So can you speak a bit louder? I can hear you.
Okay. Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, it's much better now.
All right. So at this point, it was at about 1 a.m., you know, I had to, my car had security, and God used the phone that I didn't give to them to as a tool to save me, because if that phone was not with me, Tola, trust me, I wouldn't have been able to reach anybody. Probably they would have gone to wherever they want to go, you know, do whatever they want to do, you know, and then I would not be able to reach any single, because by the time I came out from the bush, there was nobody outside. Benin is not like Lagos where you see half cars driving around, you know. Everywhere was like dead silent.
And this was like 9 o'clock, right?
Yeah, this was about 9 after 9, because that area is usually not an area you see people moving about or anything.
Right.
You know, so I had to find my way to, while I was walking down the road, because it's an express road basically, and I saw a police checkpoint. From there I started making calls, trying to reach family and friends, just to let them know that, yeah, guys, I'm safe first, calm down, you know. And that same calmness, I don't know how it got to my wife, because everybody my wife called said they were amazed at how calm she was on phone. So they were like, are you sick? Kidnapped your husband and you're sounding like this? Other women would
freak out. Yeah.
Shut the roof down, you know. So that calmness, God, I think one thing God did was that calmness in the midst of the whole storm. God just made everything, because sometimes if you're not calm in the midst of the storm, you will not see, your eyes will not be open to see what God can do. You focus on the storm, you focus on the trouble, the struggle, everything. That's what you'll be looking at. You will not look at, but if you look within and think about God and see God from a different light, you become, because you know this is not the end for you. You know this is not how it will end for you. So that was what God did, and till now, when I got home that night, I just had to cry. I had to, like, God, thank you, because other persons have gone through this and they don't come back alive. You know,
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, without a single scratch on my body. without nothing. I recovered my car back. You know, God is just super amazing. I give him praise for this, man. It's not
Wow.
it's not how you can never be calculative in such situations. You don't expect such situations to say, okay, this is what I would do, this is how it was all God. God just said, "Oh, my son, be calm. I've got this. This is my specialty. I derive pleasure in rescuing my children from troubles like this." So, in the midst of all that, God came through. God was super amazing. And you know the funny part?
Tell me.
While I was going home, my wife called that, the baby Cerelac is finished, so I should get one. So I drove into the mall, got Cerelac, and I was driving home before that thing happened. While I was leaving, I was like, okay, guys, can I ask you for something? They were like, okay. Wherever you're taking me to, I don't want to leave this in the car. Let me just be with it.
Wow.
So I was like, oh, okay, take it. So it was with me. I went home with that.
With the.
Cerelac.
Are you serious?
I was like, where did you get the award? I'm like, I told them I want them to just give it to me because I didn't know what was going to happen. They were going to drop me somewhere, they're going to keep me somewhere, or lock me somewhere. Please let me have something to. Maybe I'm going to end up eating it for how long or whenever. No, I just have to negotiate because I've heard of kidnappers where they kidnap people and they don't give them good food.
Yeah.
You guys, I was like, okay, let me just be with this Cerelac. I understand Cerelac can be very nice. So let me use that
to
be
funny.
consoling myself. You know, but man, when I got home that night with the food, my wife was
so
like,
the Cerelac followed you home.
They gave you this food. You saw what?
So the Cerelac followed you home.
He followed me home with my brother. I'm like, wow.
Wow.
Man, God is just super amazing, man. God is just super amazing.
Wow. This is a
amazing.
lot. AO3 event says Cerelac Daddy. Okay, let me ask you some questions here. Ndidi.
Yeah.
So there are lots of lessons to learn from this experience you just shared, because I really cannot even imagine. I can't even imagine this entire thing you're talking about right now. It's really hard to imagine. It could be very traumatic, actually, especially for the fact that it happened in your home.
Yeah.
So when you shared these things with me, I was just trying to pick up one or two
Funny
things.
enough.
First off, yeah, you said your car has a tracker.
Yeah.
And the tracking app.
Yes, it does.
The tracking app is on your phone. And fortunately, it was the phone that had the tracking app that you did not collect. So you were able to disable the car after that let you go, and that's how the car stopped. And then, so, have you always used the tracker for your car? You know, because not everybody use trackers these days. So, and that was like your saving grace, how you were able to get your car. So, I'm just trying to pin or spotlight on some of the lessons that one can learn from this.
Okay, the number one lesson is you should try as much as possible to make sure. It might sound funny, you know. Sometimes you just have to be prepared for evil days like this. We're in the world, you know, things can happen. You know, I could remember I gave my wife when I installed the tracker in the car. I remember I gave my wife the details, so she was like, tracker, I don't want to save the details, I don't want the number, nothing will happen to us. So she didn't bother to save the number or the details. She just left it like, nothing will happen to you, babe, forget it, you know. And on that day, Tola was actually grateful that she didn't save the number or she didn't save the details, because when those guys carried me, the first question they asked me was, does this car have a tracker? I said no. So the guy said, if the car goes off on the road, that they are going to shoot me. I'm like, it will not go off.
Wow.
Because at this point, I now remember that, my wife didn't save this number. So, and when I finally got home, my wife was like, if she had the tracker,
she would have used
put
it.
the engine off.
Yeah.
She would have put the engine off immediately. That would have been more problem for me.
Because you just told them it doesn't have a tracker, so they're going to be like, oh, you be James Bond, Abby.
Exactly. So I was just praying to God, like, thank God my wife did not save this tracker. Because when she said, the next thing she was thinking was, I was going to track the car and put it off. I'm like, with me inside? With me? Do you know what that means?
Wow.
Do you know what that means? So one of the lessons is that try as much as possible to talk to your loved ones about, just in case something happens to you, how they should respond. But sometimes they don't think about it that way when it happens. There's this shock. Some people respond with shock and everything, so they might end up doing
panic.
A different thing from
right.
what. That panic, exactly. They might end up doing something different. But the lessons here is usually, Tola, seriously, when I'm driving, I pay attention to cars behind and front of me. I do that, So once you notice a particular car is behind you for, let's say, 5 kilometers, 10 kilometers, then you should pay attention. If possible, just pull over and watch the car do make his next move. If he's going to pull over, or if he's going to like drive past you or whatever, just watch the car in front or behind you. You never can tell. And also, instead of, if you live along the road, because there's something I've learned now, because my friends used to warn me, like, guy, most of the time when I'm driving past your road, you just park in front of your gate on a major road, leave your ignition on, go open your gate, and next time, I think you should go park somewhere, come down, come open your gate, drive in, then, or get somebody to get a neighbor to come open the gate for you. So I think that was one of the lessons, so that people don't pay attention, mostly when you live along the road. When you live along the road, and not like,
this thing you're talking about is just, I was in a conversation with someone about this, I think a week ago, where you want to drive into your compound, and there's this maybe like 5 to 10 minutes between the point where you park in front of your gate. You come down from your car. Most times your car engine is still running. You open your gate, you drive in. Then your car is probably still on. Then now your gate is wide open, right? You go back to your gate, you shut the gates, and then that's like an entire process. And that process, as short as it is, could be very, very dangerous and could be very exposing to a lot of dangers.
Very dangerous.
Especially, like I said, if the place is somewhere where someone can easily, because by the time you come down from the car to open your gates and your engine is running, if somebody gets into your car at that point, what you gonna do?
That's the end, man. That's the end.
Okay, so let me read this one. This one coming in from AO3 says, lessons to learn. 1, be vigilant when driving. Watch front and back vehicles, just like you said. Number 2, if you notice a car trailing you, don't go home. Go to a safe place. Right. Number 3, have a tracker on your car. Now that number 3, I was speaking with Ndidi when we spoke on the phone over the weekend about how it was even a friend of yours that inspired you to use the tracker, and we're just thankful to God that you really did.
I didn't do that thing.
Wow.
After I spoke with you, I had to call the friend to say thank you.
Man. Okay, so now when they took you, right? When they took you from the house, and they were driving away, you said they put your head on their leg, right?
Yes, they just said I should drop my head down.
Drop your head.
I was not even seeing anything.
Now tell me, what was going through your head at that time? And I know you might not be able to totally articulate it, but how were you able to keep that calm? How were you able to maintain that calm at that period of time?
Okay, Tola, to be very honest with you, to be very, very honest with you,
Yeah.
at first I was like, I started questioning God. This shouldn't happen to me.
Mm.
Not me. This is your son. Things like this, they're not supposed to happen.
Mm.
You know. So while I was questioning God, because I was not even saying anything to them. My voice, I was not. It's only when they ask questions that I respond. But the rest of the time, I was focused on God, because at that point I know He's the only person, He's the
Yeah.
only one
Yeah.
that will rescue me from that situation. So I
Yeah.
was just talking to my father, like, God, this is where I need you. You need to come through for me. This is not your promise. This is not what you told me. This is not what you told me. I cannot just go like this.
Mm.
I cannot go like this. So while I was talking to God, that helped me to be calm. So I was not even paying attention to whatever they were doing. I was not even bothered about the guns that were pointed to my waist or anything. I was focused on God, who is the author and finisher of our faith. That was my focus. So
Right.
that helped me to be calm during the whole the process of everything. While they were driving around town, that God was my focus. God was at the center of it all. It was God that I was looking at.
Wow.
It was Jesus that I was seeing in the process. So I wasn't really bothered, because if I was paying attention to the situation I was in at that point, maybe I would have been crying or pleading with them.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, you start saying some kind of things, you know. And when you start talking to these people, they will now notice, oh, this person is afraid. If we push him more, he will say some kind of thing. So the best thing was, I think that was the best decision I took, to focus on God and God alone. I was not really bothered about them. I was not bothered if they were carrying guns or anything. I was just focused on God. That was how I was able to go through, survive that situation. It was just God.
Wow. That's a very huge lesson to learn, and that actually applies to other areas of our lives as well. When we go through storms, we should pay more attention, focus our attention on God's power, God's love, and God than the situation that we have. Thank you so much, Ndidi. This has been very eye-opening. This has been very inspiring, and I believe it has been for quite a number of people as well too. I see you, Yeli. She says, "Don't leave your ignition on when getting home to open your gates." Huge lessons learned. Huge lessons learned.
Trust me, I'll not do that again.
And I'm really, really, really happy to know that we are live to tell the story. We are live to learn the lessons. Taiwan Nubi says, super amazing God. Yes, indeed. Super amazing God. Peace in the midst of the storm. Wow. Amazing. Thank God for this victory. But any luck getting these people? Aha, that's a good question though. Any luck getting these people? You didn't even see their faces, did you? You can't. There's no way to.
That's the thing. But my anger now is the laptop they took with my jobs and everything was inside my laptop, you know. So more like I'm starting all over again, you know. And I spoke with the police. There's no way they can track a laptop. The phone they took, I didn't keep the pack when I bought it. I'm used to throwing away stuff like that. Okay, what do I need the carton for? You know, you just throw it away. But they were telling me now that if I had the IMEI number, then I would have been able to track it. But I'm like, well, it's gone. So I leave them for God. But what I'm telling God is, make sure the judgment you are giving those guys, let it be worth it too, because those guys, you don't understand. I couldn't sleep for like 2 days after that.
I can imagine.
To be very honest with you, the whole thing was playing in my head all through.
Crazy.
Yesterday, I was leaving my house by 5 a.m. I was already I came out from the gate observing, you know, and usually I just enter the car, drive out, and I'm off. But now I'm just extra attention. But sometimes it's not like you're paying extra attention will solve anything. It's still God, though.
Yeah, word. You have spoken so well, man. Once again, I just want to celebrate God. Celebrate God for your life. It's so great. It's so great to be alive. It's so great to have this conversation as a radio interview and not something else.
Yeah. No hashtag.
Hashtag. No that's why I start hearing that. Man, he was such a blessing to us. So what?
We don't want that kind of accolade.
We don't want that. We don't want that. Thank you so very much for sharing. Okay, so before I let you go, we are sharing our favorite fortunes of the day. I've shared 2 already. I have 2 more to go. The next song I'm about to play is a song I know that you know, so I want you to tell me what you think about this song. It's a song by Dr. Seme, brand new, dropped. It's titled Love Letter. So tell me, what do you think about this song?
For me, this song is, when we are doubting God's love, sometimes we're going through tough times and we're thinking, God is no longer there for us. He's no longer paying attention. And then he sends you a love letter to remind you that you are my child, you are my son, you are my daughter. I'm here for you. I'm always here. If you need someone to talk to, I'm always here.
Yeah.
The first time I heard that song, that was what I told Samuel. Like, man, this is a reminder. And the title of the song basically is direct. It reminds us that God's love is always sure. God's love is always there. That's what the song is basically about. It reminds us of God's love that is constant. It's not something that comes and goes. It's constant. It's consistent.
Yeah.
That's one thing the song reminds me of, and I think everyone should listen to the song. And of course, be reminded that no matter what, God's love is always sure and is always there, because that's God's love letter for us right there.
Yeah. All right, so I'm playing the song right away. Thank you so much, Ndidi. By the way, Ndidi is the CEO and founder of GospelCentric. You should check that out, gospelcentric.net. Amazing stuff being shared on a daily basis. God bless you, bro. My love to the family. And give some Cerelac to the baby.
My brother.
God bless you. Yeah, take care. All right, guys. That was quite a conversation with Ndidi. This happened last week Tuesday, by the way. It happened last week Tuesday where he got kidnapped and he got robbed. But here he is today telling the story, and we're grateful to God for that. So here's the song we talked about. It's titled Love Letter, right here on the Praise O'Clock Show. We got about 15 minutes to go on the show, so do stick around. PraiseWorldRadio.com.